When most people think about building a website, they usually think about design first. They think about colors, fonts, layouts, maybe a logo, maybe a homepage. But that was not where my process started. When I started Elevatus, the first thing I had to work through was identity. I had to figure out what I actually represent and how to articulate that clearly. That part alone took me about 3 months from the time I started building the website. So before I was fully thinking about final design, I was trying to answer a much deeper question. What do I stand for? What problem do I solve? And who do I solve it for? Because when people land on a website, they are not trying to understand your brand in the way you think they are. They are trying to understand themselves. They are trying to figure out whether they are in the right place. So the real questions most people are asking when they land on a site are much simpler. What problem do you solve? And who do you solve it for? If that is not clear, people leave. Not because your work is not valuable, not because your website is bad, but because it is not clear enough, fast enough. That became the foundation for everything I built with Elevatus. Once I got clear on what I represent, I also got clear on the niche. I chose to focus on life transitions and transformation. That gave me a lane. It gave me a direction. It gave me something specific to build around. And that mattered because the coaching market is crowded. It is saturated. A lot of people are saying very similar things. A lot of websites look similar. A lot of offers sound similar. So I knew I needed to find a way to differentiate myself while also becoming more specific, not less. That is where one of the most important parts of my build came in. I created my own home framework: C2R2E, collapse, confrontation, realignment, reclamation, elevation. That framework gave me a structured way to explain transformation. It helped me communicate not just what I do, but how I think. And that is a major difference. Because in a crowded market, people are not only evaluating your service, they are evaluating your structure, they are evaluating your clarity, they are evaluating whether you have a real point of view. So for me, the framework was not just branding, it was a way of organizing my thinking and making that thinking visible to other people. Once I had that clarity in place, the website started to become something different. It stopped being just a site. It started becoming a system. And that is one of the biggest ideas I want people to understand. A website is not just pages. A website is not just design. A website is not just something you put online because people told you that you need one. A website can become the centralized hub that holds an entire ecosystem together. That is how I approached Elevatus. And I did not build it alone in the traditional sense. I used AI throughout the entire build process, not to replace my thinking, not to replace my voice, not to do the work for me, but to support the work. I used AI to help generate ideas, test page concepts, explore language, think through structure, create mock-ups, and look at different possibilities before committing to them. That made a huge difference. It helped me move faster. It helped me reduce wasted effort. It helped me experiment without needing a full team. And over time, it helped me become much more efficient. I also want to be honest about something else. I did not fully flesh out the final design until about 8 months later. So this was not something that showed up all at once. It developed through action, repetition, adjustment, and refinement. I did not wait for it to be perfect before I started. I did not wait until I had the final vision completely figured out. I started building immediately, often in the evenings, small blocks of time, one piece at a time. And I published as I went. That matters because a lot of people delay building because they think they need complete clarity before they begin. My experience was different. Some clarity came before building. A lot more clarity came because I was building. The action helped reveal the structure. The structure helped reveal the message. And the message kept getting sharper over time. So when I say it took about 8 months to fully flesh out, I do not mean I waited 8 months to begin. I mean, I started early, refined continuously, and let the effort compound. And it did compound. One page turned into a site, one article turned into a growing body of content, one idea turned into a framework, and what started as a website eventually became a full ecosystem. Elevatus now includes the blog, YouTube, Pinterest, podcast, and community. Everything connects back to one central place. That is a very different way of thinking about web development. Most people think they are building a site. What they may actually be building is the infrastructure for a larger platform. That is how I see it now. The site introduces the problem and the perspective. The blog deepens the thinking. The videos give people another way to engage with the ideas. Pinterest extends discoverability, while podcast episodes and community gives people a place to remain connected over time. That last part became especially important to me. I did not want everything to stop at content consumption. I wanted there to be a place where people could continue engaging. So I used school to build the RISE community. RISE stands for resilience, insight, strategy, and elevation. That gave the ecosystem another dimension. Now, the website is not just a destination, it is a gateway. It connects people to content, ideas, structure, and community. That is why I say websites should be viewed as systems. Because when you think of a website as a system, you start asking better questions. You stop asking only, what should this page look like? And you start asking, what role does this page play? How does it guide people? How does it connect to the next step? How does it support trust? How does it support discoverability? How does it support the larger experience? And that naturally brings me to user experience. I wanted the Elevatus website to build trust. That was important from the beginning. I wanted it to feel intentional. I wanted it to reflect experience. I wanted it to use color psychology thoughtfully. I wanted it to work well on mobile devices. I wanted it to be easy to navigate because user experience is not just about appearance. It is about how someone feels moving through the site. Can they understand what they are seeing? Can they understand what problem is being addressed? Can they understand whether it is relevant to them? Do they know where to go next? Or are they forced to figure everything out on their own? Because if they are forced to figure it out on their own, you create friction. And when friction increases, people leave. That is true no matter how smart you are, no matter how helpful you are, and no matter how valuable your service may be. So for me, user experience became one of the quiet drivers of trust. The layout matters, the flow matters. Ease of navigation matters. Mobile optimization matters because a large percentage of people are going to meet your work through a phone first, not a desktop. Color psychology matters because design shapes emotion before people fully process words. All of those things contribute to trust. And when your service is intangible, trust matters even more. That is another important lesson. We are living in a time where information is no longer valuable on its own. With AI, information is everywhere. Anyone can generate explanations. Anyone can create content. Anyone can summarize an idea. So if your website is only built on information, it becomes easier for the market to replace that. What is harder to replace is structure, perspective, experience, interpretation, a lived framework, a connected ecosystem. That is why I did not want Elevatus to just explain things. I wanted it to demonstrate how I think. I wanted the website to show structure. I wanted the content to build authority. I wanted the ecosystem to create continuity. And over time, all of that starts to reinforce itself. That is also where SEO comes in. SEO is not about gaming search engines. It is not about stuffing keywords into random pages. It is about creating useful content around real questions and real problems people are already searching for. If your website clearly addresses problems, clearly identifies who it is for, and consistently produces content that helps people think through those issues, your website becomes more useful. And over time, useful tends to become discoverable. That is how I approached it. The blog was not just content for content's sake, it became part of the system. Each article strengthened the platform. Each article gave search engines more to understand. Each article gave people another way to encounter the work. Each article helped connect the ecosystem. That is why I say the effort compounded. Not just because there was more content, but because each piece began supporting the others. The website supported the blog supported discoverability, the videos supported understanding, Pinterest supported reach, community supported continuity, and AI supported efficiency across the whole process. That last point matters a lot. AI enabled me to build Elevatus as a one-person business model. More than anything else, the real investment was time. That was the biggest cost, time. But in those 8 months, I not only learned how to build Elevatus, I also learned how to leverage AI, improve efficiency, and cut my costs immensely. That matters because many people assume they need a full team before they can build something meaningful. A designer, a strategist, a copywriter, a web developer, a video editor, a marketing team. Now, depending on the scale of what you are building, those resources may still matter eventually. But AI made it possible for me to get much further on my own than I would have otherwise. It did not eliminate the need for work. It did not eliminate the need for thought. It did not eliminate the need for time, but it dramatically changed what a one person business can realistically do. And that is one of the biggest reasons I think this perspective matters. Because if someone is willing to invest the time, learn the tools, and build with intention, the barrier to creating a real ecosystem is much lower than it used to be. That does not mean easy, it means possible. And that is a big difference. So, if I were to distill everything I learned from building Elevatus into a few core ideas, it would look like this. Start with identity before design. Get clear on what you represent. Get clear on what problem you solve and who you solve it for. Build trust intentionally through structure, navigation, clarity, and experience. Think about user experience beyond visuals. Use AI to support the build process, test ideas, and improve efficiency. Do not wait for perfect. Start building, start publishing, and refine as you go. And most importantly, stop viewing your website as just a page. View it as a system that can hold an ecosystem together. Because once you start thinking that way, you build differently, you organize differently, you publish differently, you connect your platforms differently, and you stop creating random digital pieces that float around disconnected from one another. You start building an environment, you start building a platform. You start building something people can move through, learn from, and stay connected to. And in the spirit of the niche I serve, life transitions and transformation, I hope this helps you think about web development from a new angle. Not just as something you create once and then leave alone, but as something you build, refine, and evolve over time. Because that is what this became for me. Not just a website, a system, a hub, an ecosystem. And if someone lands on your website today, the question to ask yourself is simple. Do they know what problem you solve? Do they know who you solve it for? And does the rest of your platform support that experience? Because if you can answer yes to that, you are already ahead of a lot of people. Everything else can build from there. If you want to see how this looks in practice, take some time to explore the platform. The link is in the description. Until next time, continue doing the work, stay disciplined, keep ascending, and keep elevating.